Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. The North London derby was the centrepiece for the weekend's action, as Jose Mourinho's Spurs hosted Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. Mourinho's men were looking to continue their charge towards the top of the table, whilst Arteta's were looking to stop the rot. In the end, the match ended 2-0 to Spurs thanks to the dynamic duo of Kane and Son. The XG indicated Arsenal marginally created the better chances, with neither side creating big chances. The XG time map shows that both teams primarily took low-quality chances throughout the 90. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's take a look. Here's how both teams lined up, on paper at least, courtesy of the OneFootball app, with Mourinho opting for a 4-2-3-1 and Arteta sticking to the 3-4-3. And if you're a football lover, the OneFootball app is perfect for you, giving you stats, breaking news, transfer rumours and so much more. And the best part is, it's absolutely free for Android and iOS through the link in the description below. Let's start with what Arsenal did in possession, as they had 70% of the ball. Because Spurs went ahead early, they didn't look to press high up at all, content to sit in a mid to deep block. This is shown by their high passes per defensive action of almost 20. The average positioning also shows this, with 11 men being in their own half. So, Arsenal could attempt to be more adventurous with their backline at times, allowing both Saka and Bellerin to push high early. Spurs generally defended in a 4-4-2, with Lo Celso pushing up alongside Kane. The lack of pressure on the ball also meant that Tierney, the left centre-back on paper, could push higher up onto the left, which would allow Saka to tuck infield to be a creative force, whilst also triggering Aubameyang to move into a centre-forward role. And Granit Xhaka would often drop deeper into the left-back region to cover, and get more time and space on the ball deep. As a result, he had the most touches of the ball and passes for Arsenal. And initially, when he looked to drive higher from these positions, it was Bergwijn who pushed higher from right wing to confront him. However, this left Aurier 2 versus 1 down on the flank. Mourinho adapted, getting Kane to move out wide to stop this progression instead, meaning they would be defensively solid out wide. The defensive work rate of Son and Bergwijn cannot be underestimated throughout the match, often dropping deep into the half spaces when defending and joining the backline. But generally, Arsenal struggled to create any inroads through the centre. As with Xhaka deeper in these regions, Partey often found himself isolated and easily cut off in midfield. Arsenal did look to add to the midfield presence, as Aubameyang's positioning allowed Lacazette to drop deeper as a false 9 into the midfield. This gave Arsenal a rough 3-2-5 shape in attack, with men in the half spaces. And Mourinho changed the role of his pressing too, to no longer be concerned about pressing the first line in possession. Instead, they dropped onto Arsenal's midfield pivots, meaning that Spurs' own midfielders could drop deeper and as a result would have the mobility and freedom to cover the half spaces more efficiently, which they often managed. As the game went on, Arsenal still managed to find success in wide regions, particularly down the left. Tierney could receive the first pass, then play Saka into the half space. Alternatively, Saka's positioning could cause Aurier to tuck in too narrow, freeing him for the cross. They tried to create more of a central presence by shifting to more of a 4-4-2. With Xhaka pushing into midfield alongside Ceballos. This allowed Lacazette to remain higher, and the wingers could tuck in, with the fullbacks pushing high, and this would allow 4 men to attack the box. As a result, Arsenal swung in 44 crosses, which were more hopeful than carefully constructed. And Arsenal found themselves vulnerable from these positions. This was the case in particular when their pivots had pushed higher when in possession. As he has done so often this season, Kane dropped on the transition to receive the first pass between the lines whilst the wingers made runs ahead of him. He would subsequently look to find their runs with longer passes. We see shades of this in both of their goals. For the first, we see in possession, Arsenal's pivots are higher, and both wingbacks/fullbacks have pushed high. Kane drops to receive the ball between the lines, and Son makes a run in behind Bayern. He then kills the perfect finish. And for the second, Arsenal push men high for a promising attack, and despite Partey being off the pitch, Xhaka has pushed high on the attack. The ball comes to Lo Celso between the lines, and Spurs have a 4 versus 2 as both fullbacks had pushed high. Son is found and sets up Kane for an outstanding finish. Now, let's briefly touch on Spurs' controlled possession phase, as they only had 30% of the ball. From the goal kick, Dyer and Alderweireld would drop alongside Lloris. Once the ball became active, it was Arsenal's wingers who then pushed onto the centre-backs in the press, whilst Lacazette stayed deeper on a pivot, assisted by Partey or Xhaka. And because they used a back 5 when defending, their wingbacks could cut off the natural wide outlets, meaning that Lloris was often forced longer at times. And higher up the pitch, one of the priorities was freeing up Kane to drift deeper and cause problems where he saw fit. But a reference would be needed at centre forward to allow this, so Bergwijn, when in possession, was the default centre forward, tucking in, with Aurier pushing higher on the right to provide the width. Lo Celso would also drop deeper to provide cover at times. At the same time, Sergi Reguilón pushed high on the left, allowing Son to tuck into the half space between the lines. This meant that if Arsenal's pivots were drawn higher on the press, both he and Kane could be free between the lines. Overall, going ahead early made all the difference for Spurs, with Mourinho able to do what he does so well and stay solid defensively for the rest of the game. But what else did you notice throughout the match? Drop it down in the comments below. And if you want even more content whilst helping to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/footballmadesimple. You'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as access to the upcoming FMS video podcast. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, a big thanks to everyone on Patreon.